Jay, can you shut this music off? Jay,
Here we
the
go,
draft
Drew.
is
You
over.
there?
I'm here. The draft is over. The teams are set. The NFL feels like it's within reach. Best ball rosters are all over the place. ADPs flying up, flying down.
Yes,
This is
sir.
what
We're
it.
in the middle of it now, baby. This is where we thrive, Drew. This is
It
our
is.
moment right here. From this time till the season starts, Drew, this is when we attack. This is when we go out and swing our swords. This is when we break down some depth charts. This is when we get a feel for who we like. And it's time to look at the 2025 season now. For real, you know?
We make some big moves this offseason where the competition is low. I don't think they've been studying it like we have. And they're not going to be breaking down. I think one of the big things is people start getting attached on certain players. Right now the hot name du jour is RJ Harvey. I love
Oh,
RJ
yes.
Harvey. I love his landing spot, but he's being thrown into some ridiculous conversations in ADP. And it just kind of shows you that, people are just going to gravitate towards what name is being talked about most. And they're not necessarily looking for where they can find value. And that's what you and I are going to do here, Jay.
We're just in the trenches grinding, brother.
Yeah.
How was before we get going, Drew? How was Omaha?
Omaha was incredible. I loved hanging out with our friends there. It was our second annual time out there. But the big moment, Jay, we got to sit there and watch Warren Buffett, 94 years old, retire as the greatest investor of all time. He sat there and said that
Retired. Wow.
he stepped down
What a
and
moment you got to see that.
he got a 10-minute standing
Roxy.
ovation. Roxy.
Roxy trying to jump on the laptop.
We gave
You got
him
a standing O.
10 minutes long standing O. Jay,
Unbelievable.
we got up at 4 a.m. to go wait in line for 2 hours to get into this conference. And
Wow.
even then we were in the nosebleeds and
Uh,
it was so packed that there's the stairs to get down into the seats. The stairs are packed with people and they're old guys sitting in these dirty stairs. It's crazy the amount of anticipation that people have to go sit in a room and listen to that guy for 5 hours, and that was his last one.
Unbelievable. So you got to see him go out on top, baby. I mean,
Yeah.
what a moment. What a spectacle that must have been.
It was. And I got some merch as well. We did plenty of shopping around there. I got some awesome merch.
Hell yeah. I
Yeah.
can't wait to dive into the investing world. I'm gonna get there, and you're gonna be one of my guiding lights, Drew, when I call on you. I know Mosh is into it too, isn't she?
She's big time, man. She's the steady hand.
Right on, right on.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff, man. So, how you feeling after the 10 hours of driving? You a little tired for this pod, or you're
No,
wired? I mean, it could
I
go
lock
both
in.
ways.
I lock in on driving, and I really what I love to do is sit there and listen to tons of podcasts, and they were about football. I was listening to
Fuck
everybody,
yeah.
and yeah, I mean, I really love a long drive because I sit there and just lock in on a couple of podcasts and just like, hey, I got nothing else to do but just really sit and enjoy this conversation here.
Yeah, that's the best. Just zoning out on some good football content, and hopefully we can provide that to the people. Have you been best balling yet?
No, I haven't. Um,
Me neither.
you know, and
I think maybe
and
next week.
I'm not rushing into it. The one thing I have not looked at yet is best ball ADP. And specifically, I want to have some of these conversations and I want to bring up some thoughts and get some of my own questions answered first. and then I want to compare those to the best ball ADP. But Jay, it's a long season of drafting, and I'm telling you, the draft swings are going to go crazy over the next couple of
Yeah,
months. There's no
I
reason to
know.
there's no reason to jump into it early, and a lot of these questions that you're going to have, they will get answered, and there's going to be some drafts early on that you're going to be like, "Oh my god, what an awful team. This team has no chance of winning." So,
Hmm.
it is better to kind of maybe try and find some of the answers of what you're looking for. And I have the questions. I just don't have the answers for them yet. So maybe we can talk about some of those in the upcoming weeks of podcasts.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, we'll get to it. We'll do a little principles with Porter if you got something for that with some maybe some more best ball talk and we got some depth chart analysis. AFC West. I wanted to start in your division, Drew. I think it's a really good division to talk about. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
relevant fantasy players in that division.
Yeah,
And then we'll do here at the top. We'll start off with some winners and losers from the draft. I picked a couple teams, both winners, both losers. Asked you to come with one too. So I'll let you. No, I'll kick it off since I got a couple.
I got
I'll
some
kick
too,
off.
but you kick it off.
Okay. Um, One of the winners coming out of the draft for me, Drew, team that really caught my eye looking at their board was the Chicago Bears.
Mm,
Colston Loveland going at 10 surprised some people, but I think Loveland's going to be lovely with Ben Johnson calling shots, a little Sam Laporta type action. And I just think he's going to be really relevant in fantasy, Colston Loveland. Um, and then you move to the second round, they get 3 picks in the second round, a franchise record, 3 picks in the second round. And they get Luther Burden,
hmm
who I think's a first round talent. You get Ozzy T at tackle. I don't know how to say his last name. We're calling him Ozzy T. I think he brings some versatility, and Ben Johnson likes to use a sixth offensive lineman. Going back to the Lions last year, they love to bring in, all those trick plays and the sixth offensive lineman, making them eligible. I mean, he's going to have Ozzy T's going to be something for Ben Johnson. He's a weapon at tackle. And then you got on defense Shamar Turner at pick 62,
mm,
a really nice pick.
mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Jay, I want to add a little something to that. Ryan Poles, I'll just I have another one down on Find Your Inner Pirate, but I was gonna mention Ryan Poles as somebody that found his inner pirate. And he has. He's really knocked out the off season for a couple of years in a row, really knocked it out of the park to where
Hmm.
now they're set up for it will be devastating if they don't have a good season. I mean,
Yeah.
locking in a head coach, the best head coach, locking in one of the best quarterback prospects that we've ever seen, just constantly adding a lot of young, great talent to this roster, moving up
Uh
and
huh.
down draft boards when needed, always looking to get more value, for future years. And really, I have been impressed with the sort of 3 year rebuild that Ryan Poles has done, and it really he really set it off this year. And one little story to add to this is Colston Loveland. A lot of people were thinking Tyler Warren was going to be the first tight end off the board, but
Uh huh.
I heard from one of the insiders that there was a lot of teams that were trying to trade up, and when the Bears
Mm,
took Colston Loveland, all those calls stopped.
really?
Yeah, so there were teams that were trying to get up there and take Colston Loveland, and Poles he he got the guy. He got the guy
It,
everyone wanted.
yeah. I mean, it's just you see that in the draft. Sometimes it surprises you when a lot of people who have the number two guy, it's kind of the consensus he goes before the number one guy on everybody's boards, and A lot of times those picks seem to work out. I think the Bears, like you said, they've been really shrewd the past few seasons under Ryan Poles. I know Lombardi likes to make fun of them. Even I made fun of them last year. They built a Madden team.
Yeah.
But I think just taking this best player available approach is what you need to do when you're trying to build something around a franchise quarterback like Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And God, that Luther Burden's going to be something for them
Yeah.
as a weapon, and Loveland, like you're talking about. And this Ruben Hippolyte at linebacker, Drew ran a 4.42 40. Um, just a speedy linebacker. I like their approach, man. So shout out to the
Yeah.
Bears.
And a big old body on the defensive line in Shamar Turner. Yeah, I do love
Mhm.
what they did there. Well, listen, I have three winners, and I'll just rapid fire them to you. Um, One of them is a winner by not getting competition added to his room, and it's something he desperately needed. Justin Fields leaves the
Mm.
draft unscathed, and he's the guy. There's not going to be any question marks about, oh, who should we start? It's a quarterback competition. Justin Fields finally gets his shot, and I love that.
Yeah.
Um, Another one winner from the draft, Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he's going to get to
Yes.
show everything that he's got. I love that he's got a dynamic offense with a couple of great running backs added to his room, the best player in the
Uh-huh.
draft added to the wide receiver room. Um,
Uh-huh.
I'm
Yeah, I got something on the Jags later for Find
love
Your
it,
Inner Pirate
love
too.
it.
But
And then
yeah, I love what they're doing.
last winner I think was the Eagles. Um, they just they were kind of playing with house money. They didn't have any real glaring needs, and I heard reports that they viewed Jihad Campbell as one of the best players in the draft, and they were even trying to trade up to 20, and it turned out that he was falling. And anyway,
Hmm.
there was some details about that trade with the Chiefs. Chiefs had other calls coming in where other teams wanted to jump up and get Jihad Campbell, and the Eagles were like, "Well, we want him. What can we do? How about just swap with us and we'll give you a fifth
Yeah.
to swap?" And so it was a good trade on both sides. But I mean, Eagles to get in their eyes one of the best players in the draft, playing with house money. They just made some good value trades after that and recouped their value of the fifth round. So I I hate to say it, but man, they are just stacking up an already stacked up roster there in Philadelphia.
Yeah. And like we were talking about the Bears, they take best player available most of the
Yep.
time. So that's how you end up with the stacked roster. I think that's the way you got to approach the draft. So yeah, love those, Drew. Love them. I got a couple too. The Bucks. I like what the Bucks did, man. I think Jason Light, one of the best drafted GMs. He's been called the GM of the decade by some.
Hmm.
Just the way he's built those teams, the way he drafts. Love the Mecca Buka pick in
Yeah.
the first round. Think he's gonna be star in that offense. Best route runner in the class. I really love this Tampa offense, man. Uh, Benjamin Morrison in the second. I think he's a steal. He's a ball hawk. Notre Dame last year, that's where he played ball. They played a lot of man to man, and Todd Bowles runs a similar man to man blitzing scheme. So I think he's going to fit like a glove there. And don't sleep on Jacob Parrish in the third round either, Drew. Don't sleep on him.
Hmm.
They just got a lot of good football players in the draft. So shout out to the Bucks and Baker
Shout out.
getting some toys. And then
That's a fun
Drew,
team.
and I'm all the both of these teams, the Bears, Bucks. I'm looking at the win total over for them, and even this third one. I did it last year. I think I'm going back to the well. I like them even more this year. The Seahawks. I love what they're doing, man. Just Jalen Milrow at quarterback.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be something.
I
And
thought about you
you
when they
get
took
there,
him.
Darnold. Darnold as a bridge quarterback is perfect. And Jalen Milrow. I'm not saying he's gonna. They're saying he's gonna run 6 to 8 plays a game. I, they better not use him like Taysom Hill. He's a real quarterback. So shout out to the Seahawks.
Shout out. I'm still going to be rooting against them. I'm not a big fan of the Seahawks. I did think about them when I thought about you when they drafted Jalen Milrow, and I said, "Fuck, I'm going to be hearing about the damn Seahawks from Jay for the next year."
Yes, you are, baby. The 12th man. McDonald's, my boy.
Yeah, good.
Let's do some losers, Drew. What do you think about doing some losers? All right, let's hear it. I'll start you off.
Number one, I've got a good buddy here, friend of the program, and one of the controversial figures in our fantasy football league, John LeCamp. He's a
Uh
big
oh.
he's a big Bengals fan, and he's so into the draft. He loves the draft. He studies it for months. He gets the PFF subscription, and
Yeah.
he's very sour on the Bengals draft, and so am I.
Yeah. I
Bengals,
had them written down as my second one.
they had some clear mandates that they needed to do, and there's a lot of question marks there. There's not a lot of clarity in Cincinnati. There's a lot of
Hmm.
question marks specifically surrounding Trey Hendrickson. I would have loved to see maybe a trade and get some assets and get rid of him and reinvest into the defense, or
Yeah.
or wrap up and say we're going to commit to you with a contract, and we're just left with no clarity there, and a first round
Hmm.
pick that, it depends who you ask what people think about Shamar Stewart. um
He was my bust for the
he
year.
was your bust. He's a lot of people's bust. He's John LeCamp's bust. um but even
He's just
bigger,
down in the gutter right now.
he
LeCamp.
is. Even bigger, though, they needed to address the defensive backfield. And that's a huge question mark. And they don't have the cap space to even address it. I mean, I'm hearing from John LeCamp that maybe they drafted these linebackers so that they can cut this guy to free up enough cap space to go get that guy to add to the defensive
Yeah,
back. Oh, it sounds like a mess in Cincinnati. And
it does.
and
Yeah, I didn't understand the two linebackers in the draft that high.
yeah.
I thought they should have addressed other positions.
So they're my first one, and I have one more, but I'll hand it off to you.
And they just took a lot of guys that were projects. They were my second loser. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm with you on Cincy. For me, Drew, my loser of the draft this year, the 49ers.
Ah,
Michael Williams in the first round didn't like it. He was
really?
PFF's 38th ranked prospect.
Yeah.
Um, they're trying to address the pass rush. They lost a ton of guys this offseason. Taking Nick Martin, where they took him, he was ranked 307th by Trevor Sikkema, and they took him 75th overall.
Hmm.
They made some bets on some outliers, and I don't like it. I don't like the bets they made. They didn't address the O line at all. And Upton Stout, he's a nice name, but he's a 5'8" undersized nickel corner backup, and just where they took him is just ridiculous. It's like Robert Sala got back in there and they're just letting him take over the draft this year. It's what it felt like.
Well, I'll push back a little bit that I actually liked. I may not agree with the value on all these players. You know, but I do like the direction where, when they were in their heyday, it was they had these monster pass rushers, just this brutal defense to deal with, and I liked them throwing a lot of darts at the defensive board. Um,
Yeah,
Offense is sexy and it's fun, but defense is what got them to the dance, and I like them sort of going back to their roots there a little bit. Um, but I see what you mean, that they were off on some value. Look, time will tell, but those are the ones where if you miss on Michael Williams that high, it's one that people don't forget. And like sticking your neck out and drafting the 300th ranked player at 100, that's one that people don't forget. You know,
yeah. Nick Martin, he
Nick Martin.
sucks.
So I feel you on that, but I do like a little bit of what they did, sort of throwing a lot of
Okay,
darts at that defensive dartboard.
okay. Kind of solid strategy there. So yeah, that's good stuff, man. Winners and losers. It was a fun draft. I mean, we got to talk about Shadur. He was a loser.
That's what I was
I mean,
I was going to mention. I think really the losers. I just put the Browns as my second one, but also
uh,
Flacco, because
yeah,
I thought they had a really clean quarterback room kind of going into it. And yeah, they could have maybe added one more developmental guy, but they just messied it up just a whole bunch. I wanted to see sort of that three-headed monster they had there with Pickett, Flacco, and another guy, but
and Dylan Gabriel.
well, one of the two. I would have loved to see them have one, but it just seems like one of
Yeah,
these guys isn't even going to make it to camp. I mean, am I crazy? Is Kenny Pickett going to be the odd man
he
out?
said he's not going there just to hang out. He wants to win the job.
It's way too
I
many.
think all four of them are gonna play.
It's way too many cooks in that kitchen, Jay.
I think they each get 4 games,
Wow,
and whoever plays the best gets the last game in the playoffs.
wow.
Couldn't you see the Browns doing something stupid like that, like having a rotation, like a quarterback rotation?
It would at
But
least be
yeah, it's so
entertaining.
messy.
Yeah,
Dylan Gabriel in the third round was just a waste of a third round pick.
yeah.
I mean, undersized backup in the third round is just ridiculous.
What do you think of them?
So,
What do you think of them taking Shador in the fifth?
I mean, where they took him was good value. I mean, I thought the Cowboys should have been looking at him. I was pissed they didn't even think about it.
I mean,
But if they did that, then it would be a big Dak versus Shadur thing, and
it. What do you think of that? Because it automatically, you know, if the Browns, I thought they actually had a pretty good draft, but now the all the talk is going to be about the fifth round draft pick, and all the conversations about the whole team is going to be about the fifth round draft pick. And
yeah,
what do you think of that? Do you think it is good value to take him, or do you think in some ways it's just going to take what may have been an all right situation and just muddy it up and mess it up? Like, do you think it's negative value to take Shador?
I that's a really tough question because I like Shador as a I like him as like as a guy that you can let and sit and develop for maybe a year or two, and then kind of throw him in there. And um, so I like him in the fifth round. I just don't like the situation. So it's hard for me to answer that. I really think it was the owner, Jimmy Haslam. I think he got involved in this. I think Haslam got involved and said, "Hey, we need Shadur
For
in the
sure.
fifth." So I think, if I had to guess today, if I had to make a guess of what's going to happen, Kenny Pickett starts the year.
Wow.
Flacco comes in, and then Shadur closes, and Shadur looks like a real quarterback for him.
Okay.
That's kind of what I see. That's my vision for it. But yeah, it's so awkward. It's just so Browns.
Yeah. I love I'm going to love to see the additions to, those Browns jerseys that have like 40 names etched on over, it's like the Tim Couch jersey with just 40 names after it. I'm going to love to see the
Uh-huh.
addition of Pickett, Flacco, Sanders and Gabriel.
Yeah, that's gonna go for high bucks
Yeah.
in Cleveland. All right, man. Yeah, some good winners and losers there. Let's keep going. Do we got principles of Porter this week?
Yes,
You
we
got anything
do.
you want to touch on with that?
Yes, we do. So,
Hell yeah.
as we're going into best ball, one of the things that I was thinking about, Jay, and this has served me well in the past. Um, so I like to split up the draft into two sections. There's 16 rounds, or maybe 18 rounds. Um, but cut it in half, and on the
Uh-huh.
first half of the draft, how I like to think about it is you're drafting for upside. Okay.
Right.
That's where I like, a lot of those players, they're all going to be scoring points at the top of the draft. But in those first half, what you really need is guys that can break like a 30-point week. If you can draft a guy like Brian Thomas in the 8th round who can have a big upside, that is
Uh-huh.
way more valuable than a guy like last year, let's say Josh Palmer. Those two were right
Yeah.
next to each other, but there was never going to be a week when Josh Palmer was going off for 30. But you can see it with Brian Thomas Jr. You can see that there's the ability there that he could be a number one guy, a 30-point a week kind of a guy. And so when I'm looking at the first half of a draft,
I love that.
I'm looking for high end upside. And I don't care if maybe that team's going to fail. Maybe he's just the biggest boom or bust kind of guy. And maybe that team's going to fail with that decision. But I'd rather go out going for it all and going for the high upside guy than going for the safe guy in those first rounds. And then Jay, what I do is
Yeah.
once
The old washed up guys we don't want. The
well
30.
well
Now
the,
now certain ones
this
are
is
outliers, but
this is what I do in my drafts. After I get to the halfway point, I really have to flip my mind completely over and say, now I've taken like 8 or 9 dart throws at high upside guys. I feel good about these. Now I'm going to flip it over. And the second half of the draft, I'm going to draft safe. I'm going to
yeah.
draft guys that are safer and that I feel like are going to score points. The worst is the ones where you draft a guy and he puts up a big fat 0 for you on the season, or he puts up 10 for you on the season.
Hmm.
So those bottom guys, you're looking to bring up the floor to where if your star has a bye week, or if your star, didn't he's still getting worked into the game plan, you have these guys in the bottom of your draft that are like, who am I? Like a Chuba Hubbard was a great late round pick that you just kind of looked at it and
Uh-huh.
knew, oh, this guy's gonna. Or who was the Browns' backup running back?
Jerome Ford.
Jerome Ford could be had a lot late in drafts, and um, even one of these guys like Adam Thielen was one of those guys that's always sort of
Uh-huh.
hanging around there. You want these guys late in the draft that bring up the floor, that when your stars don't register a huge 30-point week, you have these guys that can put up 7 points for you.
Yeah, that's a great little sermon right there by you, little fantasy sermon. Just flip the script, flip it, halfway through the draft. Start looking for these guys, look for these veterans that are getting paid, like Adam Thielen. Look
Mm-hmm.
for these guys, they're getting paid money. They're gonna have pride. The teams are gonna want to get them the ball. And that's same with rookie, with a young guy, second, third year guy, a guy in a contract year. I'm always looking for guys in contract years.
Absolutely. And
Um,
Jay, I have one more.
that's something we need to. That's a segment we need to do is contract year guys.
Yes. I have one more to throw in there for a principle. This is just one that I want to throw out there. Um, my one of my principles that I do with best ball is I play small and a lot. So with best ball, you can enter these little $3 leagues. That's how I
Uh
like to
huh.
play them. I would rather play, you know, uh, 10 $3 leagues than one $30 league, because with the 10 $3 leagues, I get to sit there and throw hundreds of darts at the dartboard. And what I want to do is by the end
Right.
of the draft have just a large amount of drafts that I've taken a lot of swings on a lot of different players, but they've been strategic. And that I have my guys that I'm betting on for the year. And when you do it that way, it all averages out to where every year it's been a profitable thing, you know.
And this is gonna be our best year yet. I can just feel it, Drew. I love that. Love sitting down and hearing principals of Porter. And yeah, that's just great. And this is gonna be our best year because now, Drew, we got the draft finish. It's time to dig in on best ball. It's time to really hit the ground running. I'll probably start drafting this next paycheck I get, which is Wednesday, and I'm gonna be firing. I'm gonna be firing, Drew. Do they already have the drafts available? Have you looked?
I haven't even looked yet, Jay. I'm sure
Yeah, I
I
haven't
do think
either.
they are. I do think they are available.
But yeah, I just in this next segment we're gonna do the depth chart analysis is gonna really help us just kind of study these teams and just kind of know the ins and outs. And there's some good battles here of these teams that are gonna be fun to watch as training camp, as OTAs mini camp gets underway. There's gonna be a lot of shit going on. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is a good exercise for us.
Yeah. Hey Jay, can I throw one thing in there before we move on to the depth chart segment?
Of course, of course.
Nothing to do with football. We were with my mom over the weekend, and she showed us a video from our wedding of my sister giving a speech, and whoever was filming was sitting right next to you. And and my sister was talking about Masha, and talking about how she really toughed out a kayaking adventure that the three of us went on. And as my sister was describing this story, you shouted out, "She's a warrior! She's a fucking warrior!"
She is.
It was hilarious.
I love that story.
Yeah,
Good stuff, bro.
yeah.
Well, yeah, man. And then we're gonna be coming right here to your team first, Drew, with this depth chart breakdown. We're gonna start with the Chiefs. Post draft. How are we feeling about the Chiefs draft just in general, real quick?
You know, I think they knocked it out of the park, and at the same time, this draft will live and die with Josh Simmons and how
Yeah.
well, that was the big swing that they took. And everything that I've heard is that the play on the field is magnificent, but this injury was really bad and not a lot of people come back from it. And there's other concerns with the guy. but that if they got their left tackle, this could be the guy that is here for the next 10 plus years. Um, and so it'll live and die with him. And other than that, they got some real players. You know, a lot of
Uh
people
huh.
have some stuff to say about those back to back defensive linemen they took. They're undersized, they're this, they're that, but they're players, man. You know, they got short arms. They they get after the quarterback, both of them, and they go inside, they go outside. Um I'm really excited to add them to the defensive line. And they don't need to be
Yeah.
magnificent. They just need to fill some roles, which is nice. Uh, the On offense, Jalen Royals, he was a we got good value taking him. I think in like the fifth round or
Yeah.
something like
I
that.
like him.
Um, he's going to be an exciting player, and we may I think we'll see him quite a bit actually. I think he'll take over the Justin Watson role, and he may be able to spell Rasheed Rice. And um,
Yeah. Especially if there's a suspension coming.
yeah, and there's a lot of similarities I think with him and Rasheed Rice. They have a similar profile, so to speak. But
Yeah, that's exciting.
the other exciting one on offense, you know, a lot of Chiefs wanted a running back earlier, but Brashard Smith, we got some great value taking him in the seventh round. We
Uh
traded up.
huh.
We traded two sevenths to trade up higher in the seventh to go
Mm,
get him, and
okay.
that's going to
So
be an
that means they're going to want to use him. They're going to want to at least see what he's got in training camp and preseason. He's going to be a guy they feature probably.
he looks to me like a Jarek McKinnon number two.
Oh, wow.
Um,
That'd be great.
just a receiving back, high effort in the blocking game, and I do, you know, there's if there's one position where there's an ability to break out and take over a big role, it's running back. I mean, they
Right.
got they got it's the same old guys there. I'm excited to talk about them in the depth chart, but ultimately I love what they did. I love those pass rushers. I love the cornerback we took and Noel Williams. Um,
Uh-huh.
but this draft will live and die with Josh Simmons.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right about that. Yeah, so like, looking at this depth chart, Drew, I mean, one thing that just stands out to me on offense is just we talked about Royals, but just this receiving crew is core is awesome. You know, if it can all be healthy with Hollywood and Rice and Worthy, just that speed. I mean, that really stands out to me.
This is
Can Sky Moore carve out a role?
I don't think so. I think he'll be cut.
Ooh, Justin Ross, or how about this Tyquan Thornton kid?
If
Could he do anything?
I think the name to keep your eye on is Nico Remigio.
Oh, okay,
Justin Ross, he does. I mean, listen. He's the off-season, preseason warrior. Just we've been wait. You know, he's kind of the joke of the Chiefs' offense, Justin Ross. But I actually have seen him down at Camp Mahomes, and he looks fantastic
okay,
once again. Um,
right on.
so I wouldn't rule that out. But Sky Moore, I don't even think he had a catch last year. I think that's how bad
Uh-huh.
it was. And I haven't seen anything from this offense or from this offseason that tells me that he's even going to make the team. I think it's
Yeah,
possible that they move on from him. But I think the big story with the wide receiver group is that they're just going to try and do over their plan that they had last year.
uh-huh. Just the speed and trying to be more explosive.
They never got to see that come to fruition because Hollywood Brown hurt his clavicle in the preseason, and then Rasheed Rice, but right at this kind of same time, Hollywood was coming back. Rasheed Rice tore his ACL, and
Yeah.
it would have been perfect if Xavier Worthy got to be the third,
Roxy, stop.
yeah, the third string gadget
Hey.
guy.
Sorry, Drew.
You're good.
Roxy's messing with shit.
Uh,
She's trying to be part of the show.
you know, I think if they can count on Rasheed Rice to be the number one, and there may be a suspension, that is for sure worrisome. But he is their star number one, and I think Hollywood Brown is going to slot in as their number two option, and Xavier Worthy is going to be this mismatch nightmare that they're going to try and work in there. That's what they had been wanting the entire year, and they just couldn't get all three of them on the field. And I think they are just trying to do over what they wanted to do last year. Um,
Hmm.
and I do think Jalen Royals is going to take over the Justin Watson role. They lost him to the Texans, but I
Okay.
also think Jalen Royals really fits the Rasheed Rice mold, where it's yards after the catch and it's quick slants and stuff like that. Where I think they can work him in if there is a suspension.
Right.
So
Yeah, you're probably right.
I feel really good about it, and I think they're doing over what they wanted to do last year.
Yeah. I hope we can see it come together for them. On the offensive line, it looks like Su Kingsley Suamataia, he's moving inside. Wasn't he a tackle?
Yes, they they have said this openly multiple times. He will be their left guard, or rather, he is going to compete with Mike Caliendo. It's going to be an open competition, but I
The
think
veteran.
everyone expects Suamataia to take that position, and he
Okay.
has the body and he has the talent to do so.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. Left tackle. I mean, this is the bugaboo for the Chiefs. We talked about Simmons in the draft. Him and Jalen Moore, is that going to be a competition?
Well, Andy Reid never really reveals these things until he has to. So
Right.
he isn't saying one way or another whether Josh Simmons, the injury is going to allow him to compete this year or if it's going to be a redshirt year. But for all intents and purposes, the Chiefs went into the draft not needing a left tackle. They feel comfortable that they can put Jalen Moore out there at left tackle and get serviceable play from him and Jawan Taylor. But I think where every Chiefs fan sees this going is next year, Chiefs can really get out of Jawan Taylor's contract easily. And you can,
Right.
Jalen Moore profiles more as a right tackle. And so I think if the Simmons thing works out like everyone expects, then it's going to be Simmons at left tackle and Jalen Moore at right tackle. And really, I think if Simmons suits up this offseason and he's playing, then I don't think you're going to stop him from starting. From what I've heard of his talent level, if he's suited up and playing this offseason, I think he can take over left tackle immediately. And then
Uh,
Jalen Moore is going to be that swing guy where if he gets booted from left tackle, then all of a sudden your main competition is at right tackle. And it's Jawan Taylor versus Jalen Moore.
yeah, and Jawan Taylor's bum ass needs some competition at right tackle because
Mm-hmm.
he is. I think he's a bum. It's just I didn't like the deal when they made it, and he just he's got to be better than he has been. He's not lived up to the contract, so that'd be interesting to see him get pushed if Simmons is what we think he can be. And look, when we did our um, offensive line breakdowns, it was early. It was one of the first ones we did. I think it might have been the first position group we did. And I thought Simmons was going way earlier than where the Chiefs got him. We didn't even really think that was a possibility. So good. It was a great. I think it's going to be a good pick. I hope it works out because they got to protect Mahomes, man. Just get him some protection,
Little
and the
story,
sky's the limit.
little story. Brett Veach, I love how open he is about what happens after the draft. And he told this story that they were really sweating it out with the Cardinals pick, I think at number 20. And
Oh, really?
and they thought the Cardinals could have taken Josh Simmons. And
Yeah.
Veach, he had studied the other teams' rosters and tendencies enough that he felt after the Cardinals passed on him at 20 that they were safe and that Josh Simmons wasn't going to fit any of those other teams because of what they were looking for. Maybe they needed a starter right now, or maybe in the Texans' case, they really hated the character or laziness or whatever of their offensive line, and they wanted to redo that, and they didn't want to take these sort of character concerns that
Uh-huh.
Simmons had. But the Chiefs were sitting there not needing a left tackle, and they have the character already built into their offensive line. It's led by Creed Humphrey and it's backed up by Trey Smith. And and
Fucking Creed.
and he didn't, so Brett Veach just sat there with balls of steel for 12 picks and just said no one's taking our guy. We're even going to trade back and pick up an extra fifth rounder and take the guy that we really wanted, because he knew that Josh
Love
Simmons,
it.
there was very few landing spots for him.
Love it. Yeah. Yeah, so the last question I have on the offense is this the year Noah Gray kind of takes over a little bit
Mm.
for Kelsey?
You know, Kelsey, he's not at Camp Mahomes. He he seems to be more distracted than ever. And I would not be surprised. I mean, they gave Noah Gray a bigger contract, and he has shown himself over and over. I will throw a couple of names out there as well, though, Jay. Last year, Jared Wiley, they drafted him to kind of add into that mix, and
Uh-huh.
he had an ACL that took him out last year, but he's coming back, and I would expect him to be, in the mix in there. And they also
Right.
they signed a undrafted free agent. They paid a lot of guaranteed money to bringing uh, bringing something, bringing Stone.
I
It's
got you.
it's and he is a guy that sort of had a fifth round talent, and basically his upside was all in the passing game. So I think they're really looking to kind of throw some numbers at that position and let some camp battles play out. But I would think that
I think Noah Gray could have a big year this year.
you might be right.
He's always a sneaky guy to look at for a touchdown prop.
You might be right. Jay, I want to throw one out there, which is, I think, the depth chart that is the most uncertain on this team and on this offense is the running back position.
Uh-huh.
And I
So
do
you
believe,
got Pacheco there,
yep.
and then who's gonna step up? Is it gonna be Carson Steele? Is it gonna be Elijah Mitchell?
So
You know,
I would assume, I would assume
you
that,
talked about your other guy too.
yeah, I would assume that there's four guys that are really in the mix there: Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, Elijah Mitchell, and Brashard Smith.
Hunt's back. They just signed him to a 1 year deal or something.
Both him and Mitchell.
Okay.
And so, really, all three of those guys are kind of on 1 year deals. Um, but Pacheco, to me, looked like a guy that had lost steam, and it looked like a guy that the NFL figured out how to stop him. Kareem Hunt has zero explosiveness. I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to get,
So Andy Reid loves him.
he does, you're going to get 3 yards falling forward, but you're never going to get 20 plus yards. Elijah Mitchell has a lot of health concerns, but he seems to be a guy that they like as a Jerick McKinnon type of
Uh huh.
player. And Brashard Smith is a guy that definitely, he was a receiver turned to running back. He has great open field vision, great at catching the ball, and I think he could be somebody that adds a real layer of explosiveness, which is what they needed. But
Yeah, that's exciting, and it could be a good special teams guy as well.
yeah. So I don't know who's going to emerge from that running back depth chart with the most carries. I don't know how they're going to approach that. It's going to be interesting. That's one of the big questions that I have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It'll be a storyline to follow with Kansas City for sure. The defense, Drew, just got a lot of bodies, just depth up front. The front seven, they just got depth.
Yeah.
I don't know outside of Chris Jones, there's not like a real. I think Karlaftis could be a Pro Bowler. I think he's that type of player, but it's just a lot of Jess ball playing Jessies out there, up front, just Spags guys.
Yeah. The big,
Anything stand out to you, competition wise up front?
well, yes. I mean, the big thing with their defensive line is every single one of them have the profile to go inside or outside. That's
Oh
that's
yeah,
Charles Omenahu. That's George Karloftis. Even Chris Jones lines up as defensive end.
right.
Um, and now you add Omar Norman Lott and Ashton Gelati. Uh,
Yep.
so these, oh, and even Michael Dana, who is,
I love Mike Dana.
all of these guys are, they're very high effort, very push till the very whistle or even past the whistle. They're all those kind of players. And
Yeah.
Omar Norman Lott, I think, is one to especially watch, where he had very limited snaps, but in his snaps at Tennessee, he had one of the highest uh, um, rush win rates.
Yeah.
I'm talking historic levels to where when you look at the names that are surrounding him in that percentage area, they're incredible. So I think
Really.
if there's one guy that can really break out, I would say keep your eye on Omar Norman Lott.
Whew, that would be scary with him and Chris Jones in the middle of that defense.
He's a
Just
little bit of an undersized interior guy, but he's one of these guys that sort of sneaks past you a little bit, and he's a diver, Jay. So when he gets one little opening to dive at the quarterback, he'll Superman it in the air and just grab you around the waist or the ankles and won't let go.
hell yeah. I love that, man. Uh, Omar Norman Lott, name to watch for Kansas City up front. We'll see if he can kind of become as Chris Jones. Chris Jones is such a fucking beast, but we always want to keep replenishing the well, and if they could get another menace inside that can go inside outside, like you're saying, I mean that would be huge for Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Linebackers, just solid Drew Tranquil, Nick Bolton. You got Leo Chanel there as kind of a backup. Um, Anything with the linebackers catch your eye?
Yeah, and they added Jeffrey Bassa in there. He's a little bit of an undersized linebacker, and he's going to be a Drew Tranquil sort of um, replacement, perhaps.
Okay.
Um, Nick Bolton got a big extension. He is the quarterback of the defense. He calls the plays. Spags really describes him as a very cerebral player. So
Yeah.
a lot of people think they overpaid for him, but for what he does, the Chiefs feel like they underpaid for him. But he's
Yeah, he's an underrated player. You just get a bunch of casual fans that barely watch and
yeah,
just say that. I
he's
mean, if you
slow.
watch the
He's
Chiefs,
slow is the big
he's
thing.
not. Yeah, he's not a sideline to sideline linebacker, but like you're saying, he's got smarts, he's got instincts. I'm sure he's a great leader. And so, yeah, you need a quarterback of your defense. Nick Bolton's that kind of guy.
Yeah,
Especially if all the creative blitzes Spags comes up with, you need a guy that's going to get people in the right position.
yep.
In the secondary, Drew, we got your star Trent McDuffie. Um,
I'm really
bringing
ex-
Chris, yeah, go ahead.
I'm really excited what the Chiefs did with their secondary this year. So
Okay.
so they added two guys to the mix here that really have changed the game. In the past, they've had to kind of put Trent McDuffie on the outside with guys, and Trent McDuffie can play anywhere, but Trent McDuffie is the best slot corner in the league. And so they're going to be able to put him now in his best position, which is in the slot, against guys like maybe Lad McConkey and some of these guys. And they now have some true outside corners with Christian Fulton. They signed him. He he was from, I think, Los Angeles Chargers. He is a true outside corner along with Jalen Watson, who is on a contract year. Jalen Watson is a really, really good outside corner.
He
But
is. I like him. He's got the dog in him.
they all
Good
of those
length, too.
all of those guys, Christian Fulton, Jalen Watson, they fit, and even Trent McDuffie, they fit this mold of Steve Spagnuolo's not looking for pass interceptors. And it's so frustrating for the Chiefs fans. But these are guys that are just focused on tip the pass down on the ground. And what
Yeah.
they added is another outside corner in Noel Williams, who is a grabber. He's a grab the ball out of the air kind of guy. And so now
Ball hawk.
you have three outside corners that are all capable and are all going to be exciting players to work in the mix. Not to mention, I haven't even said Josh Williams, who's another outside guy, and Nazee Johnson. Those guys, I don't even know if they're going to make the squad. It'll be a really tough competition there. But Jay, all of this, so because of that, now they got to move Trent McDuffie inside to his natural position. Well, guess what? Now the guy who was playing inside slot last year, Chamari Connor, boom, they get to shift him up back to his natural position, which is safety. And so now he's going to
Okay.
be in there with Jaden Hicks, and the safety room is just going to be a lot more balanced and natural. Just the whole
Right.
defensive backfield feels like it fits now that they have their true outside corners, that now everybody can kind of go to where their favorite best position is.
Yeah, I like that analysis, man, and it feels like Brett Veach has done a really good job putting the secondary, kind of putting some pieces in, and getting McDuffie back in the slot is just going to be a game changer. And You mentioned a specific the team will go to next, the Chargers with Vlad McConkey.
Yeah,
Um, Maybe we look at taking some under prop bets versus the Chiefs when he plays the Chiefs. Maybe some under yardage or under, something like that. Could see myself getting on if I remember.
absolutely. I mean, he is a lockdown in the slot.
He really is. Um, just last thing I got on the Chiefs, we just got to shout out the punt god. I mean, he's good. A division break.
He is.
We'll do our division breakdowns again. This stuff like in my head, Drew. I think it's perfect. We can do these depth charts, and then boom, we're right there at the start of the season.
Jay, you cut out for
I mean, it's not too far away.
you cut out for a large amount of there, but I just heard you there at the end. Yeah, Jay, you cutting out there, man.
Oh damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just talking about the punt guy. Just shouting
Oh,
him out.
shout out.
Can you hear me?
All right. Well, you want to move on to
Can
some
you
of
hear
these.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You want to move on to some of these other guys, and Jay, if possible, I think we got to wrap up maybe within the next 30. Did you hear me?
Yeah. Let's
Okay.
keep it moving. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, we'll keep going. I just wanted to shout out Ariza and Bucker, just great kickers, man. Um, and yeah, we'll go to the Chargers next.
Awesome.
Should I get off my Wi-Fi? Is it lagging a lot?
You seem to be good now, but there was a moment there that it was really bad, but it all seems to be good
Okay.
in the FYIP front right now.
Okay. Yeah, let's keep going to the Chargers. We mentioned Lad McConkey already. I like what they did at receiver, man, getting Trey Harris. He's one of my favorite receivers in this class. Really like what he's going to do, bring to this offense, give them some explosive home run type of speed that the Chargers have been lacking. And I think they hit a home run. I really do. I think him and McConkey they hit home runs with those guys. So
They
love
brought
what they
they brought Mike Williams back
did.
too.
Uh huh. Yeah, I mean he had a good connection with Herbert, so I think that's a good move. The real battle here, I don't think it's going to be a battle, but just something to kind of, as fantasy guys, this is going to be a talked about backfield with Omari and Hampton and
Hmm.
Najee Harris. You got any thoughts on kind of that tandem there?
I think I think certainly Harbaugh is going to use both of them a lot. I do think one thing that I've noticed, I don't think Najee Harris is a power back. He's a big player, but I don't think he's a power back. I actually think he plays a lot more like if that's how they'll use him. And I do think Omarion Hampton is going to be the bigger point scorer out of them. But
Yeah,
um, if you can get Najee Harris at value, I think he's going to be used a lot.
I'm going to disagree with you on this. I
Okay.
just looked at his contract. They only signed him to a 1 year, $5.25 million deal. I think
Okay.
You mentioned Najee Harris doesn't have the power, the short yardage. Omari and Hampton does. I think he's just going to be so much better than Harris. I think Hampton's going to get 20 touches a game, And yeah, maybe Najee Harris will vulture some touchdowns here and there, but I don't know. He's like a 5 carry, 9 yards kind of back for me this year. And that's how I see some of his games going.
Fair enough. I just feel like Harbaugh is the kind of guy that will run the ball, 35 times a game, and one player and 15 of them will go to another player.
Yeah, I could see that too. I think they're gonna want to. They gotta throw it a little bit more than they did last year. We'll
Yeah.
see. Interesting offense. On the offensive line, Drew. I guess Becton comes in at left guard, huh? Or right guard
Hmm.
from Philly. Kind of shore them up. Him and Joe Alt should be a really good right tackle, and center Bozeman's good. I like that pickup. I think they brought him in not this offseason. Then you
Right.
got Rashawn Slater, left tackle. Looks like they drafted a guy at left tackle, Branson Taylor. So he can maybe be their swing tackle. They also got Trey Pipkins at right tackle. I mean, they definitely want to have a good offensive line. Harbaugh loves being good up front. And I mean, if I was building a team, I'd build it like the Chargers are. Just they put a lot of investment up front.
Yeah. Yeah, they were really high on Becton.
It's a good pickup. Let's see what kind of contract they gave him, just out of curiosity.
I believe they gave him 20 million.
Yep, 20 million, 2 year deal. He gets. That's what happens. You win the Super Bowl. You know your players leave. They go get paid elsewhere. So we'll see. The Eagles will have a good. We'll get to them on their depth chart. But yeah, with the Chargers on defense, Drew. Um, you Bosa's gone now. And um, they kind of got him and Mac on the edges. Tuli Apalato can get after the quarterback a little bit. They drafted this guy Kyle Nard. I think he could be a name to keep an eye out for. I think he can get after the passer a little bit off the edge. Uh, Inside, Tart and Agbania, just two veteran guys, know what they're doing. They drafted this guy Jamari Caldwell. We'll see about him. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think they're going to be like without Bosa? Do you think they're going to take a step back? Or Bosa's injured so much, and I don't blame them moving on.
I don't either. I think it was good for them to move on. I actually also like them getting Khalil Mack back. Um, I think their defensive line is probably going to take a tiny step forward. Although they also did lose Jerry Tillery to the Chiefs. Actually, we got him, and last year
Uh
he
huh.
actually added some juice on their defensive line. Um, I do think they'll take a
Yeah, like
tiny step forward.
when he came out of Notre. Okay. Yeah, then linebacker Junior Colson. They don't really. It doesn't look like they care about linebacker. I barely know. I don't know who Dayon Henley is.
Yeah.
And the secondary, not a lot of names outside of Derwin. Gone. You know,
Hey, Jay, I am thinking the service is quite off now.
I don't know if I like this defense. I like to get off my Wi-Fi and see.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi and the service is really lagging on my end.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, let's keep going. Hopefully it'll the lagginess was just the Wi-Fi. I'm on 5G, so hopefully you can hear me. Are you picking me up good?
Yeah, I think this is actually much better.
Okay, good. Yeah, just talking about the Chargers defense. I don't know if I like it, man. I don't think they're going to be very good on defense.
I don't know a lot of those names either, to be honest.
I like their coordinator Jesse Minter, but yeah, I'm not stoked about this defense. It's kind of a stars and scrubs
Yeah,
defense with Khalil Mack, Derwin James, and then just kind of a bunch of trenchers that we don't really know. Like I don't know who Alohi Gilman is at safety.
yeah,
Like we just
you're right.
so yeah, they got Dicker the kicker at kicker, J.K. Scott at punter. They're really good special teams.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, we don't have to keep talking about them. I think that's pretty much it for the Chargers. We'll move it to the Broncos. Now
awesome.
the Broncos are a team that I've kept my eye on all off season. I think they're
Me
building
too.
something. I think they got a good core of players. Um, and I
I think
like
this
it.
offense, Jay, I think this offense is going to be explosive. I have my eye on a couple names there.
Go ahead.
I think the addition of Evan Ingram at tight end is a really, really big addition for them. I think he is going to be a top five, maybe even top three tight end finisher for
Wow,
them.
I like
Um,
that call. That's
and
bold.
I think RJ Harvey, like, pencil him in as a Darren Sproles kind of guy.
Yeah,
I think that's who he is going to be. And um, their receivers. I mean, they have a lot of a lot of Marvin Mims type guys, or I forget even their names. There's just a boatload of them that are all contributors. They every single one of them were contributors and stepped up where needed be. But I
yeah,
think Evan Ingram is going to lead that receiving corps.
uh-huh. Yeah, and Sutton, Mims, Vele is the starters here, but there's some guys like you're talking about. There's some guys here behind it that to get excited about. Troy Franklin's a guy to get excited about. I think. I think he can earn a role in this offense. He's a guy that played at Oregon, I believe, with Bo Nix, so
Yeah,
they already have some built-in chemistry there. Trent Sherfield's a veteran; he can play. This rookie they drafted, Pat Bryant. Don't know a ton, but just like that name, Pat Bryant. So yeah, and you're talking about Ingram. That's a bold prediction. I like him and Troutman. I think that's a sneaky good tight end room there in Denver. Um, Offensive line, Garrett Bowles used to be a holding machine, but I think he's gotten better. He's gotten better over the years. He's matured, and he's a really good left tackle nowadays. So good to see that. Um, the entire starting offensive line is back from last year. That continuity is always good, especially up front. That's
huge.
huge, huge. And they got some good backups, man. That's Calvin Throckmorton. I liked him coming out of another Oregon guy, I believe. Um, is Alex Forsyth. This is a good offense. Bo Nix, Jared Stidham. They even got Sam Ellinger in there. I think that's back-to-back pods now where Sam Ellinger's come up. So yeah, that running back room's interesting, huh? You think RJ Harvey is a really good fantasy guy. You think he could be a starter there?
Yeah, I actually was high on him coming out of the draft. I had heard teams were very high on him, and the fit could not be more perfect. I was, I thought he was going to be a sneaky sort of guy, but he is out in the open. I think the Broncos' number one guy. I think the draft capital they put into him, and Sean Payton knows how to use those guys.
No doubt.
Um, he always had these. RJ Harvey. He's like 5'8", but faster than shit, shifty as hell. Just get him into open space. So that's why I think he's a Darren Sproles kind of guy. I think that's what he'll be.
Yeah, very interesting. And you know what I like about this team, Drew? They use a fullback. They got Michael Burton over
Uh huh.
from Kansas City. This
Yeah.
fullback, I love it.
Yeah.
Uh, Defensively, they run a 3-4 team. Zach Allen's really good on the edge. He can also go inside. Um, Hufunga at safety was one of my favorite signings this offseason. I think he's going to be huge for that defense. He was the guy that was really important and vital to what San Francisco was trying to do on when he went out. Just their defense collapsed. So I think he's a really good signing. You got my boy from Oklahoma, Nick Benito, has kind of made a name for himself at the edge. Uh, just solid players all around, and I love the first round pick. I made a little TikTok video today, Baron. Broncos Nation's excited about this secondary, Drew. I mean, this could be the best secondary in the league with Sertan, Barron, and Riley Moss. I mean, that's elite. And
Oh,
you got Hufanga, Brandon Jones at free safety. This is going to be a nasty team, Drew.
it is.
They're going to be a bitch to deal with. I just think they're going to keep riding. They were good last year. They're just going to keep riding that momentum. Got my eye on the win total at the Broncos for sure. So we can keep it moving to the Raiders, last team for the depth chart. My Raiders, baby. Come on.
I like what
Little
they did too.
It's been about stability for the Raiders this
Uh
offseason.
huh.
Just going out, just getting professionals,
They had a
getting
plan.
guys. Yeah, they added a ton of youth at wide receiver. Jack Beck comes in from TCU.
Mm-hmm.
Think he can move the chains for him. White guy. Um,
Chip on shoulder.
yeah, speaking of chips, I think he can be a really nice fit in Chip Kelly's scheme. I think he's going to do good.
Yeah.
You also they drafted this Thornton kid, led FBS last year of 25.4 yards per reception, 6'5" too. He's a monster. Really intriguing guy, Thornton.
They
Thought
needed it. They needed a bunch of offensive weapons in the draft, and they really got it. Kind of pisses me off that they did it. It's going to be a good team. Don't sleep on. I'm sleeping on him right now. I'm forgetting his name. Uh, their number one wide receiver,
Jacoby Myers.
Jacoby Myers, was really solid all year last year.
Uh-huh.
He's a good player.
He is. He is. He's a pro. Yeah, just the offensive line isn't great. It's not great, but they added some young guys in the draft that they're going to let kind of sit and develop this year. It looks like Colton Miller's really good at left tackle. Of course, Brock Bowers, my boy. I mean,
Mhm.
I got a list of jerseys I'm trying to buy, Drew, and Brock Bowers is right at the top. I mean, I'm getting a jersey this summer. I'll be out there at the draft wearing it, and so I hope he can build on that historic rookie year. Defensively, they run a 4-2 front. I like this Edward Snowden, or not Edward Snowden, Charles Snowden. This
Nice.
backup, he's going to back up Max Crosby this year. Keep an eye out
Nice.
for him.
Okay.
Malcolm Kuntz did some good things last year. We'll see if Tyree Wilson, if the light can come on. I don't know if it is. Um, Darian Porter, Drew. Here we
Hmm.
go. Your boy got drafted by the Raiders, man. I knew he'd be in the Chiefs division at least if he wasn't a Chief, but elite speed, elite length. Pete Carroll's going to turn him into a monster. I mean, rookie of the year. Let's see those odds. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got on the Raiders, man. AJ Cole's a good punter. Daniel Carlson's a good kicker. It's just
Yeah,
all been about stability.
yeah, they're in their rebuild. They're going to be competitive this year. They're going to win some games where they're allowed to be still in it, and they've got some offensive weapons which they didn't have last year, and
Uh,
a quarterback that's just going to be steady. I like what they did, and they're set up for a nice rebuild.
yeah, I'm excited for the Pete Carroll era. I think
Yeah,
he's still got juice, man.
yeah,
So yeah, that was fun. I feel like we got a really good feel for those teams, bro.
I do too.
There's
I
some
think
win totals I'm looking at. Broncos over, Chargers under maybe because I don't like that defense. And then as always, the Chiefs to win the divisions feels like a lot. But we'll get to that when we get to division preview season.
yeah.
Um, we want to hit find your inner pirate and
I have a
walk the
couple
plank.
for you.
Yeah,
I do have a
let's
couple.
start us off. Walk. Who found their inner pirate for you this week?
I hate the team, but I actually love the. It's a GM. Um, there was a talk show. It's Brandon Bean. There was a talk
I
show in Buffalo. I don't know if you saw it, Jay.
did.
Brand, Brandon Bean goes on there and they're talking crap about we don't have any wide receivers. I love that a GM stuck up for himself and sort of said, "Look, you motherfuckers, you don't know anything." We
Yeah,
had the number one offense this year, and we really improved where we needed to on the defense. And
they
you
got
guys are just gonna,
Shakir and Kincaid.
yeah.
They got
I mean,
Josh Allen. They don't need us. They don't need the best receivers in the league.
the big thing is they were able to off Stephon Diggs and let Josh Allen just get the ball to the open guy, and that was what worked for them, and that's what they're
Right.
continuing to do. And I just like a GM going in there and telling the media to shut their asses up.
Yeah,
Um,
me too. I like it.
so I had him as my number one, and my number two, Find Your Inner Pirate, was Bears GM Ryan Poles for the reasons we talked about earlier.
Uh huh. Good call. Good call. For me, Drew, with the NFL, I got some outside of NFL stuff, but first for the NFL, the Jags GM, man, this guy's a legend. Have you seen this guy, James Gladstone?
I saw him his his long speech about Travis Hunter.
He's a legend, man. I like him. Just a young guy coming in over from the Rams. He's worked for the Rams, and he's just making noise. You know that Travis Hunter stuff. He's a tone setter. I mean, when to pick Travis Hunter to give up the capital they gave up, that's a tone setter move for James Gladstone. So he found his inner pirate for me,
I
man.
love it. I love it.
You know that they had the Cleveland trade done 17 days in advance, but they kept it quiet. They kept it under wraps. You
Wow.
know, and yeah, and I guess this is a really interesting guy, man. He uses a digital call sheet for trade discussions. I don't know what that is, but I'm in.
Well, Jay, I'll tell you this. I heard from uh from Florio and Chris Sims. They're insiders. They talk to a lot of people in the league, and they said that he is really rubbing the old guard the wrong way. That
Uh-oh.
he's making some noise, and a
Yeah,
lot of the
man.
old guard doesn't like how he's talking and approaching things, and I like that. I
He
like to
reminds
ruffle.
me of like GM version of Mike McDaniel in Miami.
Yeah,
So I'm in on James Gladstone, man.
me too.
He's worked with Liam Cohen together. They were at the Rams together, I guess. So they should have good chemistry. And the Jags are having a good offseason, man. I kind of like them over the win total when that comes out. I'm sure it's already out, but I like that. I
Yeah,
think they could win that division. A couple more. The Falcons pass rush has found its inner pirate. It's been non-existent over the years, but taking Jalen Walker, taking James Pierce in the first round should give them some serviceable pass rush for once, for the first time this decade, probably.
yeah,
So yeah, also the Titans got to shout them out, man, because I think they got a franchise guy in Cam Ward. So they found their inner pirate, hopefully, of the quarterback position. Quinshawn Judkins drew in fantasy. This is a guy that's I think is going to find his inner pirate in Cleveland. That offensive line is good. Judkins was one of my favorite running backs in the draft. I had him number two behind Ginty, and I think he's a guy I got my eye on in fantasy for sure.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and this I had Darren Porter written down, but we already talked about him. A couple non-football ones. Uh, the wine. I was at a wedding last weekend. We couldn't pod, but just another great wedding. I should be done now with weddings for a while, but I had a great wedding season this month. The YMCA is found its inner pirate. Who doesn't love the YMCA when that comes on?
That is a great one.
Just brought the house down at Katie's wedding. So
That's
shout out
awesome.
on the YMCA, just a crowd pleaser, you know. And also got this guy Tommy Tumbleweed. He's found his inner pirate. Shout out to my boy Drew Newcomb. He's a big Tommy Tumbleweed head. Um, he's just this cowboy, country, western type wear, but he's classy as fuck. I mean, he's a fashion influencer, and I discovered him on Instagram this week. So shout out to Tommy Tumbleweed finding his inner pirate.
Nice.
All right, that's enough positivity. Let's end on a bad note, Drew.
Great.
Let's end on some. Who's walking the plank for you this week?
Well, I have to start with one that is just it's obvious and relevant. I mean, Warren Buffett is walking the plank.
Uh-oh.
94 years old.
Career
He's gone.
over.
He's gone. He's gonna just retire and no, what a legend.
Uh,
But yeah, he is done. So he's an obvious one for the plank. I mean, another obvious one, and I'm not even going to touch on it because go to any other podcast. Shador Sanders walked the plank. I mean,
yeah.
just a total fall in the draft. But a
I
couple
had
ones. I've got just a couple ones to hit here real quick. Jax Ulbrich, just
yes, I wrote this down.
just a total. I mean, it's one thing to do it and like get away with it. It's another thing to fucking film it and then post it. What an idiot. And he just really cost his dad not only literally $100,000 but all of his credibility with his new team.
yeah,
Like it just was Jack's Olbrick, just an all-time fumble, and he'll never amount to anything because of that.
Just a
And
total lack of awareness. If he
total.
had an awareness rating, it would be 0.
And one other one, Jay, is Travis Kelsey is walking the plank for me.
Uh-oh.
Jay, it's
Looks a little pudgy.
there's Camp Mahomes going on right now. I mean, Rasheed Rice is down there running routes. Sky Moore is down there. Justin Ross. Literally everybody is down there. Mahomes is locked in. He's got a new haircut. He is absolutely killing it down there. And he took the Super Bowl loss hard. And there's Travis Kelsey. He's got a sweater on. Ooh. He's got a new hairdo today. Ooh. He's, got a new episode out on the podcast. But Jay, there's been some pictures and the beer gut is starting to get out of control. He's not in football shape. He's not even thinking about football. And I just wish, Jay,
Yeah.
that he would retire because I don't want to hate Travis Kelsey, but I feel like he's setting me up to really not like him this year because he wants
When he
to.
converts on a big third down opening game, you'll be right back in.
Jay, we had a chance to go tie up the game in the Super Bowl on our first drive. It was third and
Yeah.
short. They threw the ball and it hit him in the hands and dropped to the ground on third and short. And that was what
Brutal.
started our downward spiral.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And
Well,
he didn't
so
learn from that.
you think this could be it then? This last year for him?
I hope this is it because he's not locked in and I wish he would have just retired already because I don't think he's even thinking about football and I think he's going to I think it's going to show. I don't think he's going to be prepared and it will show up. And I just want guys in there that feel some fire and
Yeah.
feel a burn from losing that Super Bowl and want to get back there. And honestly, I'm left with a real sour taste from his performance in the Super Bowl and the alleged dragging Mahomes out the night before the Super Bowl to go
Yeah, it's a
party
bad
out
look.
with Taylor Swift. I
Not a
don't
good
like it
visual.
at all. He didn't learn shit from that loss.
All right. Well, you got anything else to walk the plank?
No, that's my poison for the night.
I like it. Yeah, you took the Jeff Ulbricht's his son doing the prank thing. Took that one
Sorry.
from. But it's
Sorry.
funny we both thought of that.
Yeah.
For me, for NFL, I just had Jimmy Haslam walking the plank. Just I hope Dylan Gabriel proves me wrong, but a third round pick for an undersized backup, come on, man. And the Shadur thing just has Jimmy Haslam written all over it. So they're
Yeah.
just I guess their draft room looked kind of awkward too. Like Haslam was like looking over the GM and the coach. Yeah, I don't like what's going on in Cleveland. Should have got rid of Baker. Baseball, walking the plank. I hate to do it to my guys, but I got to put my Texas Rangers, the bats specifically, on the plank.
Oh no.
Um, they just can't score this year. They won today 6-2 or whatever, but they've been getting shut out. They've been scoring 1 run, 2 runs. I mean, it's been bad. They put the starting center fielder Leody Taveras on waivers today after the game. I mean, he's not hitting. I will miss Leody, but they also fired the offensive coordinator Donnie Ecker after the game. So the Rangers are Bruce Bochy's pissed. The manager, he's pissed. We need some
Hmm.
runs, damn it. So they're walking the plank. Also, Racetrack, the gas station. That's walking the plank. Fuck this place. My job, I gotta go fill up the vehicle at the end of my shift. And I tried every damn pump in the joint, and it wouldn't accept my card. It was just being
Mm.
retarded. It was just being so retarded. And then it would get to the point where I'd put in my driver ID number, and it would reset, and it was just a fiasco. So fuck racetrack.
Fuck
Yeah,
racetrack.
that's it, man. I need a Madden update, little Madden corner before we get out of here.
Yeah. Well, listen, Madden. I went ahead and reached a point in my. I go quick through seasons. I simulate a lot, and
Uh huh.
I get to drafts. I really like the team building aspect, so I get through it.
Yeah.
I got to a point where Jay, I really had just a beast of a team, and I went ahead and just kind of saved that one and started a new one, just because I
Okay.
felt like I've got these young guys locked into big contracts, and I literally have like a 92 overall team,
Nice.
and I just said I'm going to keep winning Super Bowls over here. Let me restart a new one
Right
because
on.
that one I started with an existing Chiefs team, and so the new one I was dying to do a fantasy draft,
Yeah.
and I got that, and basically my new team now I have a really good offensive line and some really good chips on the defensive line. And I'm going to have to commit to building out. Oh, and I have Brees Hall as my running back.
Ooh.
And so it's a run first team. And Matt Ryan is a bridge quarterback for me at the moment. And he's going to retire at some point.
Yeah.
And I basically what I'm going to need to do is build out a passing game through the draft and
Nice.
a defensive backfield. Some of those guys are going to need to be replaced, but
Fuck
I
yeah.
I went with big guys. That's what I drafted in my fantasy draft, and yeah, it's going to be an interesting one.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna play some games here after I've been playing video games all day today. Lo- I'm gonna get back in on Madden at some point, but the college football game's so much fun for me. I had a playoff game last night with OU, first round home playoff game versus Iowa, and I just puked down my leg in the second half, bro. Just got totally embarrassed at home by Iowa.
Wow.
So got a bad taste in my mouth heading into the off season. And then my kind of same deal with my Texas State dynasty, my second dynasty. We're a small school, but we're good. We're the best group of five team, non-power five team in the country. We recruit well, but we just got our pants pulled down by Ohio State in the playoff, first in the second round of the playoff. We had a bye. We were the 4 seed. We had a bye, and then Ohio State just kicked my ass. So I went through the off season with them today. We got a really good squad. It's 2029 already. This is year 6, I believe. So there's no real life players left anymore. It's all created players. So it'll be fun to get them going later on tonight. For game one, I play Army, so I'll have to stop the option. But yeah, video games, man. I got Diesel Davis on the PGA. Dude, oh, sorry, I'll talk your head off. But Diesel Davis, my golfer, he's a legend. He's a rookie. We're in this Arizona Classic, and he's down 2 strokes on 18 from 100 yards out, and I sink one in the hole for eagle
Nice.
to force a playoff. but then we lost the playoff. So I got
Uh,
second place, but I'm having a blast. Jack Caglione, and for my baseball, road to the
yeah.
show player, he's making some noise in Chattanooga. He's
Ah,
starting. He's starting to figure out Double A. So
I love that.
maybe a call up's in order soon. So we'll see.
Jay, we'll go to a Lookouts game when you're in town next.
Yes, definitely, definitely. All right, man. You got anything else?
That's it.
Go swing your sword, brother.
Hell
Find your
yeah,
inner
Jay.
pirate.
Good
Here
talking to
we
you, man.
go. Yes, sir. See you next week.
Peace.
Peace.